Hey guys, Cindy over paper.old.new. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with me today. As you can see, I've got a calendar out here and I've got these books. If you remember, I flipped through this calendar and then I started making this one on screen with you and then I never finished it because we went into the 100 days challenge and the holidays and I got all bogged down. And I still have a video that I filmed where I stuck the cover on this and then I set it to dry. And I said we'd be back, and I went off, and then I never filmed the second half of the video, so I never released it. But this is the version, these are the versions of the calendar journals that I started with. So my first idea, just to run you back through, had been, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on any of these pages, was tab binding. Okay. And this one lays pretty flat, okay? And as you can see, it's got ephemera in it. In the front, I even started decorating the ephemera. This one pulls a bit because of the front cover, but yeah, that probably needs to be stuck down. But I even started decorating in here so that, but I wanted to keep this relatively flat because I'm limited by this binding, all right? It's bound together. It's tab bound. It's, like I said, it lays relatively flat on any of the surfaces. You've got the calendar pictures here. I will say that these calendars are like, well, you can see the basket. So this was a Longer Burger basket calendar, probably a giveaway to members or like that. And they're not like high quality. So when you fold these in the middle, you get that white line where the print comes away from the page. But anyway, so this one is full of all kinds of cards and things. I haven't done anything with it. My intent was to decorate these, but if I decorate them, it's all going to be very flat decorating. So none of my usual flair with buttons and stuff, maybe some fabric, but that's about it. And this goes, so this was the first one I did. And then this was the one I was going to do on camera with you guys. It is also tab bound, but it is really tight. And it's got some mess in here. Okay. So these don't quite lay as flat. I mean, if you break, I had to go through and crack the spine pretty good to get this to work. And as you can see, it's got pockets in it. I have not put any cards or anything in it. The calendar pages are still whole. But this one is really, really tough. And as you can see, it was tab bound. And it's really stiff here at the spine. I would not put this in my shop. The quality of it isn't what I would normally want in my shop. I may use it for myself to keep track of, I'm actually thinking about using it for myself to keep track of family birthdays, like my niece and my nephews and my sisters, my brothers-in-law, I don't know, however you say that. Anyway, so these were the two that I've made. And since then, the tab binding was where I started this. Now, so I had prepped, and as you can see, I keep all the cutoffs to hopefully use in decorating the calendar. I prepped this calendar to kind of, for the same kind of idea, I think. I'm not really sure what I did here. Oh, there it is. So there's the picture. And then here's the cardstock. There's the picture. I know. This is the cover page. That's what's confusing me. This is the cover. So I attach the cover here, like a fly paper. Okay. And then I open it up and here's the cover page. And then here is the next page. The idea behind this being that I would now tab bind these together. So here's another one, and it should be, it'll get tab bound to this one. Okay, so this is still ready for tab binding, and I haven't even finished the whole thing. So like I haven't gone through and done it all, although I have gone through and cut all the panels. Okay. So here's all my scraps and stuff for this calendar, and I'm going to have to come back to this project. All right, here's the project we've been working on, and as promised, I have cut all the pages down to height. Okay, now, this is my fly page for my cover. So what I have to decide before I glue these together is, do I want a pocket? Oh, no, that goes there. I got to be careful doing this, guys, or I'm going to end up gluing this calendar together wrong. Sorry, that was my husband. He was trying to solve a pressure problem for me, and I just tried to sit on my camera. I'm telling you guys, I can't wait till I get my chair in here. We're still doing some remodeling. Okay. So basically the idea behind this, and I'm going to need something to protect my table because I don't want, oh, I know, down here, on the floor. These were the pieces of paper. It's like a thin newsprint that came in the, what do you call them? The bins, the plastic bins that you've been seeing me in the organizing bit filling. These papers lined them. They were all stacked, and these were lining them. Okay, so back to what we're doing. So this is my first page, and this is going to be like the fly page in a book. So this first one will attach to the calendar, and it will be over here. The question is, A, do we want to put pages in right away? Which I'm thinking no. And B, do I want this to be a pocket? Because I am not putting pages in here, I'm leaning toward yes on the pocket, which would mean that, well, first of all, I didn't cut that right, but that's neither here nor there. Which would mean that what I'm going to do is figure out, how do I want the pocket to go? Again, I'm thinking side loading. I always like side loading because if I have a tab, if I have any kind of tab on the card that I stick in the side loading pocket, I can put a dangle off of it or something for fun. I need my thinner glue. I might have to leave you for a minute. My daughter still has it. This is wire out of a wire ribbon. It might be thin enough. I don't know if it's strong enough. Because as soon as it comes up against resistance, it would rather bend than move. All right. So what we decided was a side loading pocket, right? Okay, here goes nothing. Although the calendar was my limiting factor, I probably should have put the glue on the calendar. But I did have a rag. I also have tissue. All right, guys. So we have our first piece down. And basically what we have is a pocket right here. Now for me to clip the pocket and put a notch or something in it, I would probably have to decorate. Also, I'm going to go back and trim when we're done. And don't worry, we won't be doing all of this together. Okay, now this one maybe I start putting pages in here. I have a couple of thoughts on that. First of all, I thought we should put calendar page in it. So, and maybe even calendar page that's relevant. So like a piece like this, and then fold it this way. Because the other thing I like is variety in widths and heights of pages. So it would be fun to have these tall, narrow list type pages in here. So you have a list. Of course, all my check marks are on the same side as my. And then I'm going to cut this off. There are a lot of times where I would keep this and try to do all kinds of fancy stringing through it and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to do that on this one. Okay, so we'll get that out of there. All right, so we'll have one. Okay, so this one says January on it, which is the month of the calendar we just came out of. And then I'll get one out of February, but I'll get it from back in here. Okay. And again, we'll fold it and cut it. And I'll stick two of these in here, not necessarily like right next to each other, in a little signature. And the signature will be relatively small. So I'm thinking two of these little calendar pages. And more than likely, if I was to go every other for pages in this, then the pages with the calendars would be in between, and they would be from the months. You see what I mean? Like, so the next section would have, what, March and April in it. Okay. And then I always like to put one of these in because I think it's fun to have journaling page. This folds the right direction. So we'll fold this, and if it's too wide, we'll just trim it. But that folds the right direction and gives us some nice lines. Okay. I don't know. No, I don't think it's going to stick out. All right. So we have that. And then, of course, there's always dyed paper. So right up here in front of me, I have some green. Let's put some green in here because there's green in there. And remember what I said, I don't want to put too many pages in each signature because this is going to have an unusually large number of page groups. So, and the way we're putting it together, I don't want to overdo it on this first one because I don't know how it's going to go. So we have this, I think we'll put this and put this. And then this can go in the middle, like so. Or I could fold it this way, I guess, so that in the middle you see the word, like that. Okay, now, okay, I've got some paper that's too tall and might stick out the top of the journal, so we might have to trim that. And some of it might be too wide. I don't know that I trimmed. This might be one of the pages. Yeah, I didn't trim the end off of there. So all of these pages are too wide. I'm going to end up having to cut them down. Okay? But this is the next page in my journal. That's my January thing. Yep. So we open here. And then we have here. And then we go here. And this would go like this. So when you turned this page, this will be connected like that. So I would turn this page and it would open to here. And then I would have these. So you'll have this and this and this and this little guy. And then this is where I thought we could get out some ephemera. So let me get my flip out box. Flip outs are always good to sew into things. And I thought maybe we could find something that could get sewn into the signature. Oh, the other thing I have is... Actually, we probably have things in all sorts of boxes that can get sewn into signatures. That might make a fun signature center. What do we think? I think I would want it more closer to spring. I'm going to keep that out. That's a thought. Oh, I'm dumping the thing. All right, let me put this back. This. I did have something that I thought would work really good to sew in, which was not those. You could sew an undone envelope in, and like if you sewed it in here and then glued it shut, you would have a little envelope flapping in your journal, which we may do, but I'm not going to do it there. I was looking for these. These are what I was looking for. Now, do I have one that I would be willing to put here? I don't know what all, it looks like I made them all out of this kind of paper. All right, we might not sew anything into this one. Lord only knows I have tons of stuff that should be able to get sewn in, and I think it's funny that I can't find any of it at this point. Yeah, where are those? What did I put those in? I suppose I should check folios. Is that where I put them? No? So they should be in flip outs. Remember the ones we did that they had these angled pockets, but they opened? Yeah. What did I do with them? Guys, were you paying attention to what I was doing with this stuff when I was doing it? Because apparently I wasn't. But I do remember saying that anything that flipped wasn't going to go in the pocket bin because the pocket bin was already flippy books or booklets and flippy pads or whatever you want to call this. Because of the way this book attaches, a little bit of bulk won't, I don't think a little bit of bulk will hurt it. Again, I'm experimenting. I'm just dragging you along for the precarious ride with me. Is this them? Guys, I'm losing it. I mean, this could be them, but that's not them. I know exactly what I'm looking for and I can't find it. That might be short enough. That might be fun. Okay. Now. I'm going to put this back because it'll just be in the way. See, I still have to fumble through it. Okay, so this one then will get sewn together and then I'll glue it to its thing. And because I'm making a signature out of this one, I'll probably glue this one flat. Now, early on in the book, the way I am, I could probably get away with going ahead and, what do you call it? Gluing this and then sewing it once they're attached. But my thought was it would be easier to attach the signature, sew it all in here, and then glue the signatures together. So any of them that I want to sew anything into, I feel like they'd be easier to sew and then glue. And because I'm not making any pockets out of this one, am I going to make a pocket on the other side? I had these for reinforcement, and you know what? I might still fold them. So rather than cut it, I would fold this to reinforce the edge of the page. Like that. And then what I'll do is I'll fold it here and glue it. And I know it's not a pocket, but, you know. Who doesn't like to make sure things are reinforced? I know I do. I'm always worried that things are going to come apart. Okay, so that, and then let's fold it up and up like this, and then back. Only because this is a short little fold, and these are the ones that have a tendency to get me the most. All right, so this is just, I'm not making pockets out of these edges. This is just to reinforce the edge of these pages. I'm just going to fold these back rather than try and cut them off. I mean, I say try and cut them off like I can't, but I mean, I can. Okay, and then when I glue the page, it'll have this nice reinforced edge on it. Let's squish it because it's still lumpy under there. The other thing you could do if you wanted to is you could just staple it in. I mean, you could take your pages that you want to put in the middle here and you could just staple them in. It doesn't have to be. Okay, now that I've done that, I wonder if, okay, this calendar page is actually the right height. Okay, we're going to take the calendar pages and I'm going to mark this and then I'm going to cut it off. Okay. Oh, let me close this back up. I actually haven't been working all that long. For all the fumbling I've been doing, we actually haven't been working all that long. All right, now. I will say this, what I don't have up here is any of my sewing materials to put signatures together. So I might go sew this together and then come back and we'll put it together in the thing. I would probably just do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So it's not anything that most of us haven't already seen, I would assume. If you guys want me to run through one, I'm not the best at them, but I'll run through one for you if you want. Mine, and when I say I'm not the best at them, what tends to happen with mine is they tend to be loose. So technique-wise, I know how to do it. It's just pulling it tight when I need to keep it from being loose in the thing. Okay. So January goes here. All right. And then this. Now this we need to figure out if it's wide enough. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in here and we're going to do the same thing. I'll mark it and then we're going to cut it. I'm going to line, actually that lines up pretty good with that 1/2 inch mark. So I'm just going to cut it right here. Okay. All right, so now we can put our pages together. So this goes in here and this goes in here. Like that. Right? Isn't that what I decided? Oh, I feel like that's not what I decided. I don't feel like that's what I decided, guys. And then we're putting this in. Question is whether or not we're putting it high or low. I like for any ephemera that I'm sewing in to get 2 holes. So it needs to get hit in the center hole and then it needs to get hit in either the low or the high hole. Because what I don't want is for it to be what do you call? Only on one thing, because then it'll turn and all kinds of stuff, and I'm not okay with that. So it would go like that, and then in here. So this is what we would have to get to go together. And what I'm going to need is, what do I need, guys? I need a pokey tool. I do not think I have thread, and I need binding clips like this. I don't know if this one's, yeah, that should reach. I need that pocket to be held still, right? Let me get some binding clips and some thread, and I'll be right back. I wandered off and found some things. So here's a needle, some wax thread, some large clips. I usually use the large clips on the ends. This isn't, I don't need them. I want two here because I want to hold this pocket on both sides. All right, so okay, and then I might come a little further out up top. The binder clips, I feel like, hold it most securely for me. I've seen people use all kinds of things. If you've got giant paper clips or, you know, whatever you want to use. All right, and then basically I eyeball my holes. So I'm going to look at my thing. Actually, I have my measuring thing right here. I can 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. It's going to be right about there. So I'm going to stick a hole right about there, all the way through. All right, so I'll go through there, and I'll go through here between the binder clips. Okay, and then I just gauge. So I look at how far from the bottom I made that one, and I go about the same from the top. Is it a huge deal? Not really. I mean, you just need 3 holes to sew through. All right, and there we have it. Now, we get some thread. I know I said I was going to just do this off camera, but I really wanted to get this one done. And then what we'll do is I'll attach this in, and we'll attach calendar page on both sides, and then we will, and then I'll let you go. Okay, so this one, I usually do about 3 times. So I'll lay it in there like that, and then I'll say 2, 3, and maybe like a half. And then I cut a little high. I like to have enough, first of all, to work with, because I'm all thumbs when it comes to this kind of stuff. But also, I like to have some to dangle out the bottom to put buttons or charms or something on. So, yeah, I don't want to make it so that I can't do that. All right, so I don't want to go too, I don't know why I'm doing that. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to start in the middle. For anybody who's never done this, you're going to start in the middle. And this is the same no matter how thick your signature is. It's just a little harder. You have to be careful not to, what do you call it? Like come out between pages. Sometimes when you've got a lot of pages, you end up coming out between your pages. Or as I have done, you end up not, your hole isn't on the fold. See, I'm coming out between pages there. This didn't get, and that will be something that I will do. Did you see how I went through the front where I could see it and then poked through? I have done that a lot of times, where I will come through and I'll poke it, I'll re-poke it to make sure that I can find the hole. All right, then what you're going to do is go down to the bottom and out the bottom hole. So you went out the middle. Now, the direction I'm doing this in is based on whether I want my threads dangling on the inside or the outside. If you wanted your threads hidden in the kind of spine I'm going to be doing, you could do this in the opposite direction. And you would just have your threads in here. They would be flat. There would be no dangly ones. And maybe we'll do that on a couple of them and you can see what I mean. And then this goes out through there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pull this tight. Okay. And then you're going to come back up through this hole. There's two things. You don't want to split the thread you've already got in there. You don't want to split the thread you've already got in there, and you want to come up on the other side of the center thread. Okay? So let's get that in there like that, and then we're going to pull everything tight. Now, this needs to pull that way, and this needs to pull this way. All right, I can take that off of there. This is when you need like a third hand so that you have somebody to... Remember how you used to do when you were wrapping presents and you had somebody stick their... Too late now. I've tied a knot. Okay, and then I usually just double knot it. Now this is wax thread. It will probably not go anywhere. And there you have it. So let's unclip this. Okay, and you see the way this is just the stitches through the holes. If you started on this side, this would be on the inside in here, and you wouldn't have this inside your signature. So if you don't want the dangly threads inside your signature, then start by coming through the back. And then you'll have the dangly threads on the outside. You can cut them off and hide the knot in your spine. Okay, so I'm going to go like that, and then I'm going to close this up. And hip hip hooray, we've got our first signature. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure this is right side up, everything is kosher, and we're going to glue this to this. Let me get all my... I don't want to get glue all over this cutting mat. So we're going to go back down to the paper, and I'm going to move this out of the way. Because the last thing we're going to do is glue, so I'll just do this gluing, and then I'll let you go. All right, so I'm going to take this, and this time I'm gluing flat. I'm not going to make a pocket. Okay. So we're going to go all around the edges. I think I just got glue on the inside of the signature, which means I'm going to glue it to itself, and I'm going to have to tear it open, and it's going to make a mess. And... All right, and then we're going to go like this, and we're just going to cover the whole thing. Now, because this is paper, I will say this. If it's warm, wherever you're doing all of this, you won't have a problem. I have noticed if it's cold, the glue has a tendency to start drying on you early. And you will get, I'm doing this because I want to lay the paper flat on the calendar page. I don't want to try and stick it here. I want to do it this way. Okay, let's line everything up right. The reason I want to do it this way is because this allows me to take my glue spreader and move all my glue. Now, what you can do, because I can feel some of the ridges, so this glue will start to set a little bit the cooler it is. So my suggestion on that would be when you put it on the page, if you don't like the feel of those ridges or if they bother you, these aren't too bad. These are relatively shallow. And some of the glue is scraping to the edges, so I know some of it's moving. If you don't like that, what a suggestion I would make would be to smush the glue with some sort of spreader before you glue the pages together. Okay? And then So far, this is what we've got. I'm looking to see if I need to put any glue between the tape, but I think we're good. Now, the other page that goes on this is, pretty sure this is February's page. After all that gluing, we're only up to February. Yeah. Okay. So I can line these up. Put my glue down. And I'm hoping that the way we're doing this, and depending on how I end up, well, we're going to attach the cover with fly page. So I'm hoping that the way I'm doing this, the book will be nice and flexible. I only have to figure out how I'm going to do the outside of the cover. And that only has to do with me looking at it and going, oh, I don't like the way that looks. It's perfectly fine for binding, but I look at it and I'm like, I don't want it to look like that. And then I start getting picky about it, and then that's when things go awry and stuff gets stiffened up where it shouldn't be, and all that sort of thing. All right, let's get that on there. Straighten it up when it's not coming to that corner. Why aren't you being cooperative? Okay. I'm going to spread all the glue out. I'm honestly warm, so I'm surprised it's doing any of that. But at least a little pressure in there. I love glue bottles. Okay. And then we have, okay, so this is our journal so far. We've got, see how we're flipping. All right, so we've got this page, and then our calendar page, which I think I glued together. I did. Okay, and then our calendar page. And then we have this page, and we have a little flippy page here, and a coffee dye page there, and some writing paper there. And it's buckling because I think I pulled too tight. It's always one or the other. And then we have that, and then we have this little pocket in here. Okay. And moving along so far. And then we flip this one, and we have our next calendar page. So this is my grand experiment in calendar journals, guys. I'm going to try and put this together in this fashion, and see if we can't create something a little different than the usual. So I hope you guys will stick with me for this, and we can see how it turns out together. I've done all kinds of experiments on this channel. I'm always experimenting with things because my brain goes, well, why can't you do that? And then I go, well, why can't I do that? And I say, well, let's do that. And so here we are. So we're going to go through and we're going to give this a try, and I'm hoping that it works out. I have a box full of calendars that I would love to be able to do this kind of journal with. So once I get it perfected, there's going to be a ton of these. So yeah. Anyway, I just thought I would bring you guys along for the ride. I hope you're enjoying it so far. I'm going to let you go because this took a while, and I will see you guys. I think next up after this is probably another sorting video, but I have to see where I am and what's going on and all of that once I get these videos up. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.